You want to, but she edits and twists everything, so just letting you know.
Oh no, I am a Trump supporter. I'm a Trump supporter. Yeah.
Well, how much time do you got? Because we're against a whole bunch of shit.
Oh, well, tell me what you're against.
The only thing that he's done that I like is he's forcing the Europeans to come to their own defense.
If the election was tomorrow, who would you vote for? Trump?
Well, not Trump.
Not Trump?
Not ever Trump.
Why?
I mean, I don't even think there's any reason why I should answer that. Seriously.
Can I have one reason? I'm just curious.
He has been a liar. He has been all about himself. Everything he's done, he's ruined this country. He's been a cancer, in my opinion, for this country.
Donald Trump is now elected. Do you like him?
Not really.
Oh, really? What you don't like about him?
I don't really like his opinions, especially about women. And I forgot, but he said some stuff that wasn't really nice.
What do you think is the worst thing he has done so far?
Well, he wanted to put up the wall to Mexico, I think.
Sir, excuse me. Are you a veteran?
Yeah.
Well, can you tell me, are you supporting Donald Trump for president?
No, absolutely not. I am not going to support somebody that demeans the sanctity of Arlington National Cemetery and then blames a Gold Star family for releasing a campaign video on that hallowed ground. I am not going to support somebody that is contemplating using the military to round up his enemies because they're radical leftists. So absolutely not. I am not supporting Donald Trump.
Well, I understand. Thank you for your service, sir.
Now, if you want to thank me for my service, go vote and save democracy.
Hello family. A young group of YouTubers went out expecting the usual loud support, unwavering loyalty, and the same familiar chants of MAGA. But what they found instead, they found silence, they found hesitation, and something you don't usually hear from MAGA voters, the so-called regret. They found many MAGA supporters are regretting because when they ask one simple question, if they still support or have belief in Trump, the answer started to shift. And what came out next caught everyone off guard. So here's how it started, my people.
Hi, sir. Do you believe that Donald Trump is doing a good job so far?
No.
No? Can you tell me why?
I mean, just everything.
Everything?
The gas prices, everything that's happening in our country, I don't think it's better.
What would you say is the worst thing that you've seen so far since he's been in office?
I mean, just kind of lowering the standard of everything. Like, the way he speaks, we kind of almost accept it as normal, but that's not how normally a president or somebody in the highest office should be conducting themselves.
Did you support Joe Biden when he was president?
No.
No, yeah. Because I was going to say he doesn't really speak very well either.
I didn't support either of them. I don't like either of them. I think both choices are terrible. If those are the two best candidates to be president of this country, we were doing something.
It was a lose-lose for you.
Yeah.
What do you think you'd like to see in 2028, next president? You can name anybody in the world.
That's a good question. I don't know.
American citizen.
Well, the top four are Newsom, Kamala, Vance, and Rubio. Of those four, who would you pick?
Again, I don't like any of them.
Uh-huh.
Not even Rubio?
Not even Rubio.
But he's a Latino.
Yeah, from Florida. From Florida.
Joking. All right, so none of those.
He's representing.
Yeah, I wish there was a better candidate. I'm trying to think, who?
You could name anyone, a celebrity.
I know. I'm trying to think.
It's hard, right?
Yeah, I think in general, just the standard of everything has dropped.
Right.
Yeah.
And it starts with our highest office. So.
All right. Can you tell where we stand?
Probably don't like Trump.
What makes you say that?
Because when I said the questions about it, it's fundamentally didn't seem like you guys were Trump supporters.
We're big Trump supporters.
A small group of independent YouTubers hit the street with microphone in hand, cameras rolling, approaching everyday people who openly identify as MAGA supporters, and the goal was very simple: to check the temperature.
What is the most concerning thing that you've seen so far since Trump has taken over?
Oh, God, so much.
So many to mention, it's hard to just say one thing.
It's hard to say what's the worst. You could talk for 20 minutes on any one of them.
Oh my gosh, take your pick. There's so many. I think...
rounding up innocent people.
Definitely white supremacy.
The loss of democracy.
We need to get democracy back. We have entered the phase of authoritarianism in the United States.
Shutting down free speech.
From just strutting around the world like he thinks he owns it, and that's just too many. Oh please, how much time do you have?
Give me some highlights, baby.
I'm gonna let you move to somebody else. I got another quote.
Very concerned about women and why Trump hates us so much.
With another election cycle approaching, they wanted to know, is the loyalty of MAGA or of Trump still there? Is the belief still strong? So at first, the answer sounded familiar. I supported him before, and I believe in what he said. But then came the follow-up. Will you still support him again? And that's where things began to change.
Now, let me tell you something. None of Trump is American. All of his family, all of his wives, everything of him is immigration. His wife is from the Czech Republic. Is he trying to kick her out? No, of course not. His parents aren't American, trying to kick them out? His children, they aren't fully American, they plan to kick him out?
Pretty sure that all these people moved here legally, though.
Okay, so you're saying that just because, let me just say this is a Bernie rally, try going to like the zoo.
Oh, that's a very clever suggestion.
Or the depths of hell itself. Have a good day.
Sassy.
Trump was right about everything. Everything that he predicts seems to come true. Everything he talks about that he's going to do seems to come true.
Did he end the war in Ukraine on the first day?
No. But
Are gas prices lower than they were when he was inaugurated?
they were tons lower just a little bit ago, yes.
Well, but now it's $3.98 a gallon.
For a little bit. We can't be panicking. It's just going to be for a little bit.
Do you think Trump was right about everything?
Yep.
How would you rate the job Donald Trump has done thus far in his second term?
Outstanding. It's interesting with Donald Trump because you sit there, and this has been true throughout, even in his first term. You question what he's doing, but in the end you go, geez, that made perfect sense.
Fighting the release of the Epstein files.
One of the things that you'll find is that he's fought the release of a number of things that turned out to be nothing. And I think it's more out of a matter of principle than it is anything else. It's like
what's another example of that?
Tax records. I mean,
his tax returns?
His tax returns and everything else. I mean,
why would wait a second, that doesn't make sense. Those are his tax returns that he was fighting. It wasn't like he was keeping anyone else safe but himself, right?
Well, actually, it's a matter of principle. Once you release his, what do you do with everybody else's?
But every major political party's candidate, for a very long time, decades, has released their tax returns.
It's a matter of personal choice. And so he said no.
Do you still support Trump? Honestly, some things were okay, I can see that, but overall, I'm not really a fan anymore. Do you still support Trump?
I don't know. I used to, but now, not really.
How is Trump doing in office?
He's doing fine. People just complain too much.
Do you regret voting for Trump?
Yeah, I do, man. I didn't think it was going to go like that.
Do you support Trump after ICE and Iran actions?
What kind of question is that? Do you really think there are still Trump supporters around?
Do you support Trump after ICE and Iran actions?
No way. The worst choice this country ever made.
Do you still support President Donald Trump?
Do I look like an idiot?
Do you still support President Donald Trump?
I'd suggest that anyone supporting Trump should see a doctor. That's my answer.
Do you still support President Donald Trump?
I'll support him forever.
Do you still support Trump?
No, it's always the same arguments and nothing actually changes.
Do you still support Trump? Yeah. Do you still support Trump?
Not really. I just think the situation now is more complicated than people expected.
Do you still support Trump?
Yeah, I mean, everybody I know stopped supporting him, but I still do.
Do you still support Trump? Not anymore. Do you still support Trump?
Honestly, no. I defended him for years, and now I'm just tired of it.
Do you still support Trump?
Yeah. Even more now.
Do you still support Trump? No, not anymore. I used to, but after a while I just felt like the drama was too much. Do you still support Trump? No, not anymore. Do you still support Trump? Yeah, not everything, but yeah. Do you still support Trump? Not really. I think I just got caught up in it before. Do you still support Trump? With all those cases going on, yeah, I still do.
Do you think President Trump is innocent or guilty?
Free my boy Donald. We're here in Florida. There's a Make America Great Again hat in my bag. I wore it through the airport. All I got was great looks. I don't think he did anything wrong. They want someone to lock up. They need someone to target, and it's Trump because he's the one person who cares about this country. He's the one person who's going to expose this country for what it is. And these elitists are mad that he used the system and then exposed the system. That's why I don't like him.
Very based.
Very based, yeah.
Hello, do you support Trump?
No, actually I don't, but I have a question for you.
Well, real quick, what's the question?
Okay, so I'm 52, almost 53 years old, and I have a son that is participating in the current crisis. And I would like
a son that's an ICE agent?
Yes.
Oh, I'm really happy.
So-
I'm really happy that I gave you you an opportunity to ask your question. Please ask away.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it openly to friends and family. I need some advice from a young man that I follow, that I respect. I love your content. I'm not a Trump supporter, so if you want to knock me down, I understand. He is a Trump supporter, unfortunately, and I'm not sure what to do as a mom.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I'm very angry. I'm very hurt. He won't speak to me because he and his wife know the way I feel about it. And I was lied to about his new job. Now I know why. I worry about his safety, but I worry more about the safety of others, honestly. So I would just he is 28 years old. I love him. I respect him. I just don't respect his beliefs. It's astonishing to me what's happening. I think it's absolutely disgusting what's happening. He grew up with a lot of immigrants or children of immigrants, that one of his soccer teammates was actually deported.
That is such a tough position to be in as a mother. Okay? As a mother, I can't even imagine, the mental load that puts on you. Because on one hand, it's your son, and on the other hand, it's an ICE agent, right? But it kind of looks like is maybe looking for an idea of how to get him out of that. That is such a hard thing. I would say if he was younger, because I think you said at the end there that he's 28 years old. Maybe if he was younger, the way to get him out of that is by first not even focusing on the immorality of what he's doing, but rather focusing on the alternative career paths to generate a comparable or higher income. All right? Because I know for a lot of young men, it's about the money on top of the beliefs. And I feel like maybe that's a path. But you said he was 28 and he's probably been doing this for a while. So, I mean, there's still an option there of trying to explore alternative career paths to generate the same or higher income. I feel like that is a path of low resistance to get him out of there. But on top of that, I mean, you also have to work on trying to add positive pressure to deconstruct those beliefs. All right? And I feel like you as a figure of authority over your son, because obviously you're his mom, might have an angle and position to do that. But it's obviously the first step is going to be trying to find a way to reopen that relationship and to reopen up that line of dialogue. Okay? And that's totally optional. You don't have to do that. No one is obligated to have a relationship and be in communication with people who cause so much harm that you vehemently disagree with. But on the same note, reforming that relationship, kindling that connection between a mother and a son, and reopening that line of dialogue, okay, is going to be really important to then set the stage for the eventual deprogramming. And here's something that I've experienced within my interpersonal life, okay, is to try to do your best to seem it's a tough act. To seem like you understand where they're coming from, so then their gut reaction isn't to deny your input, but rather to hear you out. Because if it doesn't seem like you understand where they're coming from, they're more likely to experience that gut reaction of fight or flight, where they just want to fight against what you're saying, and flight would be to stop talking to you. But if you could kind of kindle that dialogue and make it seem like you know where they're coming from, that would then create an environment, A, built on a foundation of love between a mother and a son, to then B, okay, have genuine dialogue and hopefully connect over why what he's doing is incredibly immoral, you know, why it's not worth the money, and then what the viable alternatives would be to that money.
I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but a lot of people are saying they're leaving MAGA now and they're angry at Trump. And I'm like, why all of a sudden they're talking about the Iran war and Trump getting involved? Some people are complaining that the groceries, you know, inflation, gas prices, the economy pretty much has not improved like Trump promised. Day one, he was going to lower everything, make all your dreams come true, all the bullshit. So a lot of people are realizing that the economy is not improving. I mean, I don't know what you MAGAs do when you go to the grocery store. You look the other way, pretend that the prices aren't going up for the most things, the most items. A few items have gone down, but not significantly where you can say, wow, I can really feel in my wallet that things are improving. So I guess the last straw for MAGA was the war. That Trump might be getting into a war and MAGA can handle it, can stand it, because they don't want another war. And Trump promised no wars. But you MAGAs were okay when he said, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Jimmy goes to school. 4 days later, he comes back with an operation and he's now Julie. All these lies, you guys were okay with it. So you're okay. I mean, you're leaving MAGA. You're abandoning Trump. You're mad at Trump. But you're still racist? You're still homophobic? Xenophobic? You're still enjoying seeing immigrants being deported, families separated, people crying on the streets because their family are being torn apart, and you guys are, that's what I voted for. So you're leaving MAGA with all that baggage, right? So you're not changing. You're the same. It's just because you're mad at Trump, right? You're not realizing, wow, I was in the cult. Wow, I can't believe that I had that perception against the LGBTQ. So you're not acting like that, right, MAGA? The thing was the war. Oh, and the grocery price is not going down, but the war did it, right? Everything else, you're going to take it with you. You're going to still be you. Yeah, no, that's not going to fly.
Black man, why are you still voting for Donald Trump? Sonia Massey was just murdered. And Donald Trump said if he was president again, he'd give police 100% immunity, which means they can't be held accountable for their crimes. Now, knowing that and knowing the historical context in which police have, the relationship police have with black people in this country, why would you still vote for a man like that?
Okay, so first off, you have to understand how the government works. A sitting president does not have the power to give police 100% immunity. There would have to be legislative changes. Also, the president doesn't have the power to draft legislation, so it would have to start in the House or the Senate. That's Congress. Republicans don't even control Congress right now. But let's say they do. Let's say Trump wins and Republicans control the House and the Senate. Republicans would have to draft the legislation, and then it would have to pass in the House and the Senate. And the majority of Republicans have not even come out and said they support 100% immunity. That's not even considering the vast amount of Democrats that would vote against it. So the odds of that happening, slim to none. Now look at this chart behind me. This is the amount of illegal immigrants coming in since 2008. Trump starts here at 2016, and then he ends here at 2020. Since Biden has come into office, the charts went vertical. Okay, Jeffrey, why does this matter? The top 5 cities with most illegal immigrants are New York, LA, Houston, Dallas, and Chicago. 4 of those 5 cities have a higher percentage of African Americans compared to the national average. We overrepresent our share of the population in these cities. And these are also the cities with the most illegal immigrants. Now, you've seen a bunch of people talking about black jobs being doctors, lawyers, vice presidents, presidents. That is not the average black American. Many black Americans work as home health aides and nursing aides. Many illegal immigrants work in the same industries. So therefore, they are literally competing with black Americans for these jobs. Construction, maintenance, catering, competing with black Americans for their jobs. Janitors, cafeteria workers, competing with black Americans for their jobs. And the Democrats are willingly letting them in and then paying for them to be in a lot of these cities. They're actually doing it in a lot of cases at the detriment of the local black population. The Democrats also make black Americans perpetual victims. They actually disempower black Americans. They tell you the white man, the boogeyman, the system, everything's holding you back and we're gonna come save you. They don't, and they don't have the power to save you. And the white man is not holding you back. But as long as you believe that and you keep thinking racism and white supremacy is your biggest issue, you'll continue to vote for them. What they do is they manipulate black Americans emotionally to get their vote. The way to empower black Americans is to say, hey, you're responsible for your own life. The decisions you make will have consequences, good or bad. You are perfectly capable of going out there and accomplishing anything within reason. Your mindset and the decisions you make are the biggest things holding you back. Democrats don't tell you that. They don't empower you, they depower you. And by depowering you and making you dependent on who? You need them to come save the day. Not to mention, they play a game of identity politics. The Democratic Party is not the party of meritocracy and competence. It's the party of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to put you here because you have a certain level of melanin in your skin. We're going to put you here because you have a certain genetic makeup and you're a female. We're going to put you here because your sexual orientation is different than normal. Joe Biden was running for office. He wasn't coming out here saying, you know what, guys, I don't care what the color is, don't care what the gender is. I am going to choose the most competent person available. He was not saying that. Joe Biden was saying he's going to choose a black woman for vice president. She is literally a DEI appointee. So I will choose the party of meritocracy, competence, not perpetually making me a victim, wanting to lower my taxes, hacking law enforcement, wanting to secure the border. I will take that any day over a party who prioritizes diversity, equity, and inclusion, who plays identity politics as their main game, who wants to leave the border open to get as many people in as possible, who again coalesces almost their whole group by making everybody a victim. I don't want to be around a bunch of victims. Victimhood is not the way forward, but that is what the Democratic Party thrives on. If you're a woman, the man oppressed you. If you're black, white people oppressed you. If you're Hispanic, white people oppressed you. If you're gay, the straight people oppressed you. They build almost their entire coalition off of making people victims. They're the same people who are saying they hate America, don't like the country, stepping on the flag, supporting terrorists. Like, not the type of people I want to vote for. You have to first become educated, put race aside, and look at the bigger picture. Most of us aren't doing that. Not to mention, Joe Biden knew how much money was spent during COVID and wanted to come in and spend a lot more. That contributes to inflation. You know who inflation hurts the most? Black Americans. We make the least amount of money and we have the least assets. Inflation can help people with assets. If you have a house, it goes up in value. If you have stocks, they go up in value. If you're surviving day to day and you don't have any assets, everything is just becoming more expensive and you're making the same amount of money. Who does that hurt the most? The people at the bottom of the totem pole. Generally speaking, Black Americans are there. We make the least money. We have the least net worth. So in a lot of cases, we're being hurt even more, but many of us don't know. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
For years, if Donald Trump needed his image rehabilitated, court case going bad, news cycle turned ugly, an indictment dropping, he turned to an old friend. All he had to do was show up at a UFC event. Crowd would roar, Dana White would stand next to him and call him a champion, cameras would cut to a standing ovation from people who looked like they ate enough supplements to bench press a Volvo. And the coverage would include at least 15 seconds of footage showing a man in a Make America Great Again hat punching the air. And it worked beautifully every time. It helped rehab Trump's image when he needed it the most. Luke Thomas, the best reporter that is covering the intersection of combat sports and politics out there, and I want to make sure he gets full credit for this reporting, has been documenting exactly how this rehab project has worked. The UFC leaned into the Trump relationship deliberately and strategically, and it paid off in access, in brand visibility, and the feeling of being adjacent to power. And now they've got an event on the White House lawn. The UFC, meanwhile, was essentially running a free image rehabilitation service for the leader of the Republican Party. Drop by for a Saturday night, get a ratings pop, and leave before the main event. You can post on Truth Social. Everyone in attendance loves you. It was the most cost-effective PR operation in American political history. But fast forward to now. The war no one wanted. Gas too expensive to buy. The economy that working class fight fans were promised that turned out to benefit only billionaires. And suddenly, you start hearing that the UFC wants to be a sport of unity and authenticity. And again, Luke Thomas is reporting that the promotion is actively trying to soften its political image. And they're trying to distance itself from the MAGA brand that it spent years building. Dana White himself, who stood on the convention stage in 2024 and delivered a speech that read like a pay-per-view hype video, is now basically absent from all political conversation. You don't hear Dana White calling Trump a champion right now. You hear Dana White being very, very quiet, which from a man who has never been quiet about anything in his life is its own statement. UFC announcer Joe Rogan endorsed Trump. He gave him 3 hours on his podcast. And now he's posting clips that are critical of the administration's handling of the war, the economy, the general direction of the country, immigration, all of it. Now, of course, don't be fooled. Joe Rogan hasn't fully turned on Trump. But the clips are coming more frequently and they are more pointed. Colby Covington, who built his entire fighting persona around the MAGA brand. He showed up to the White House to take photos like it was prom night, is reportedly trying to step back from his political associations. Sean Strickland, a former UFC champion, accused Trump of betraying blue-collar Americans as inflation keeps climbing. And he backed down from fighting at the White House event. Look, when your most politically devoted fighters are doing the math on whether or not associating with Trump still helps them, when they're looking at it, the math doesn't add up. I mean, look at the White House fight card. That is such a weird sentence, the White House fight card. But ESPN and Yahoo Sports both reported that it feels just like another event. No electricity. It doesn't feel like one of the arena events. It's not going to have crowd energy. It's this made-for-TV setup that is exposing purely how transactional the relationship between Donald Trump and the UFC is. Jake Paul is saying that the UFC is dying under Dana White's leadership. Meanwhile, you've got the DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He's an MMA guy, and that connection has produced 0 policy wins for the combat sports community or his DHS so far. The brand trade-off that made Trump more popular with fight fans isn't working out. It's not making gas cheaper. It's not making your groceries cheaper. And now, quietly, everyone seems to be walking away from the MAGA brand. The octagon is sitting empty. And if you have not heard stories like this, that is why independent media like us needs your help. The best way to help, it's free. Click the like icon, click the notification bell, click the subscribe button, leave us a comment, and do it for any independent media that is out there telling the truth. We need it more than you know.
One voter post looked around, then said quietly, I don't think I can do it again. I don't think I have that support again. Another one also said that I feel like we were sold something that didn't deliver. And then someone dropped a line that stopped the interviewers cold. We were warned. We just didn't listen. Meaning, black people warned them, but they didn't just listen. Over and over, a pattern started to emerge. Not anger, not defiance, but reflection. Some said they felt misled, others said the division became too much, and others even admitted they were starting to question things they once defended without hesitation. And then came a perspective that added even more weight to the moment. Several MAGA voters acknowledged something that they did not acknowledge before, that is why black folks, or the black Americans, were saying what they were saying about Trump before. It was not in a defensive tone, but in a realization. For years, many communities, especially black Americans, spoke out about concerns surrounding Donald Trump. Concerns about leadership style, concerns about division, concerns about long-term consequences. At the time, those warnings were often dismissed or even labeled as exaggeration. But now, some of the very people who once pushed back are now saying maybe there was something that they did not fully understand from the black warnings. There is some line that they did not fully understand. That does not mean that everyone has completely changed their views, but it does mean something important is happening. people are reevaluating and people are thinking again. And that kind of shift does not happen overnight. It usually comes after experiences and after time by time, after seeing outcome playing out in real time. Some voters talked about expectations that were never met. Others spoke about fatigue from constant political tension, from feeling like everything became a battle. One person said that, I quote, "I thought things would get better, but I just feel like we've been stuck." Another one even added, I quote, "It is not even about parties anymore, but it's about direction. And I don't feel confident anymore with MAGA." And perhaps the most feeling moment came when someone said that, I quote, "I am not sure who I'll vote for, but I know it won't be the same person I voted for," meaning you will not vote for MAGA again. That is not just a doubt, my people. That's a break from certainty. And in politics, that is a very huge feeling. Now, what makes this moment so powerful is not just the political shift. It is the self-awareness. Because acknowledging that you may have overlooked something or dismissed voices too quickly takes a level of honesty that we don't always see in public conversations. And it opens the door to something very different. Not agreeing on everything, but actually hearing each other out. So some of the interviewees even wished they had paid more attention earlier, but understand perspectives that they ignored. So that realization alone, that is a turning point. And any clever politician should rethink of what he's going to tell the people, because the ground is not the same as it was in the last general election. The ground has changed. So what does this all mean, my people? It doesn't mean that every MAGA voter has changed their mind. It doesn't mean that political divisions are suddenly gone, but it does show that something is shifting beneath the surface. People are asking questions that they did not ask before those days. They are reconsidering things they once stood firmly behind supporting. And maybe, most importantly, they are starting to recognize voices they once dismissed. The voices of the Black Americans. Because sometimes the biggest change is not loud. It is a quiet sound. And it's that moment when people say that they need to look at this differently. And right now, more people seem to be reaching that moment than anyone expected.